Scott and Ciaran here with South West Boxing Media in association with Bricks and Streetwear. Delighted to be joined with Carl Greaves today. Carl, mate, how are you? How's things?
Hey, okay, Scott. Good, mate. Ciaran, good, mate.
Oh, wicked. Well, as you know, it's a very busy time for yourself and David getting ready for this huge fight, which we'll obviously come on to in a bit. But firstly, how are you and the family keeping, mate? You all good? You all safe and well?
Yeah, we're all good, thank you. Obviously, me and my wife are both self-employed, so work-wise, it's very quiet. But other than that, I mean, I'm preparing David and got a few of the other fighters in the gym, so I'm keeping active with a few of my pros, but it's very quiet, other than that.
Carl, it's been a while, mate, since we last caught up. I believe it was in the middle of the very first lockdown that we last spoke, mate, if I'm right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I can remember. It wasn't over Zoom though, was it? It was over. Was it a telephone call?
That's right. We were on the. You jumped on the podcast with us, mate, didn't you?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Carl, I remember, mate, that you said to me at the time that you were turned into a bit of a man of all trades. I mean, you were doing jobs around the house. You were doing bits in the garden, the car. Is that still the case, mate, or are you just so flat out in the gym at the moment?
No, I mean, obviously that was because obviously when we first got locked down in March, we all took it very, very serious, and I never left the house. I was training, brought all my equipment from the gym to my house, and I was doing everything, painting the fences and doing the garden and everything, washing the cars. It was crazy, doing a bit of work around the house. I was really enjoying it, but obviously once we was allowed to reopen the gyms for the professionals in June, our full systems go. I had all the fighters back in the gym and was training really hard and hoping we was going to get some dates. I mean, I only really had Dex Spelman out during that period. He had two massive fights with Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yard. And the others have been very frustrated. They've not been able to have any dates to train for. They've been ticking over. And then obviously we're full lockdown again. So it's a difficult one. I'm feeling really sorry for them, really, because the longer it goes on, they might end up finding other things to do, and it's sad, really, for small hall boxing.
Carl, just before we move on, mate, how is Deck? You mentioned him there. How is he, mate? Is he keeping well?
Yeah, he's doing well. He's actually just become a qualified hairdresser. He's always wanted to be a barber. His mum's got a barber shop. She's always done it, hairdressing. And it's something he's always been passionate about, but he's never really took it any further. But he had an opening with a friend who's got a shop in Scunthorpe, and a real good shop, and a chair come available. And he went on, I think it was a month's course, and got all his qualifications, and he's flying with that now. But he's ticking over back in Scunthorpe. I've not seen him for a couple of months, but he's ticking over back in Scunthorpe. He's going to stay ready because, I mean, hopefully we'll get a little bit more notice than we had for the Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yard fight. I mean, 4 or 5 weeks wasn't enough. And hopefully he'll get a bit more notice if we get the call. He can get himself over to me and we start back properly.
Yeah, mate, you briefly mentioned the word frustration there, and it sort of ties me on to our next question. Obviously with the fight, having the third cancellation, obviously, between David and Josh, it finally seems that the fight is finally going to be going ahead, mate. How relieved are you, yourself and David, that, the fight now is going to happen with the looks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously very, very relieved. I mean, obviously Kelly pulled out on the day that we all know 2 years ago, December 2018, and the fight was finally rescheduled for March this year, last year now, March 2020. Obviously, the COVID jeopardised that, and then was all set for January the 30th, even though I believe the fight should have happened before Christmas. We was all prepared, ready. We was told it was going to happen, but Kelly wasn't going to be ready, so they made it January the 30th, and then obviously the COVID struck again, and the board suspended all boxing in January. So let's hope we can finally get this fight on. I mean, I did say third time lucky, but it's going to be fourth time lucky now. And we need to get this fight put to bed. It's a big fight. There's a lot of animosity. It's a well talked about fight. Everyone's looking forward to it. good clash of styles, and I think it'll be a fantastic fight. And so we can finally get it on and put this fight to bed and move on to world honours.
I mean, with regards to David there, Carl, I mean, he's 3 times now, he's had to come over. Obviously, he's from Russia. He lives in Russia, as we know. He's had to make those sacrifices and leave family behind to come over. I mean, how difficult and frustrating do you think that's been for him to come over 3 times and not have a fight to show at the end of it, mate?
It's very, very sad, isn't it? I mean, he's from miles away. I mean, the other side of Russia, Petigorsk, and he has to get a couple of hours flight to Moscow and then Moscow to England. It's a long trek for him. It's hard work. And every time he's come over, he's had hope that the fight's going to be on. And for one reason, well, obviously through COVID mainly, but the first time was out of order. It was terrible what Josh Kelly and the team did to us that day, pulling out 3 hours, 4 hours before leaving for the venue to go to the show. So it was terrible that, but we put that behind us. I mean, luckily he had a fantastic 2019. He went over to Spain, Bilbao, and fought the formidable Kermel Jaraga. Nobody getting him a chance for the European title. Went over there, did him in 9 rounds, had the rematch clause, did him again in the first round. And then all of a sudden, Kelly becomes manager for the European title. So the fight's got to happen or we vacate the title, but we're not going to do that. I mean, we want to win this. It'll be the 3rd defence. I mean, he beat Del Rio in the first round as well in 2019. So he's had a fantastic year. I mean, looking at his fights and the form he's in compared to what Kelly's been in, then we're very, very confident. I've looked at Kelly's last couple of performances and not been very impressed at all. He looks good in patches, but struggles late on, and I'm really confident.
I mean, on the flip side of things, Carl, I mean, we mentioned how difficult it is. Obviously, David's been away from family around Christmas as well. But does that also add now a bit of extra motivation and give an even greater edge to use, I suppose, in the fight?
Yeah, I mean, this year he was away for the Christmas. Obviously, Christmas, he had Christmas Day at my house, and then he had, well, nobody did anything New Year. We was just all at our own places. But when the fight fell through, I mean, he was desperate to get home to see his family. So, nice and Matchroom, they paid for his flight home back to Russia via Dubai. He had a couple of nights in Dubai just to relax, get a bit of sun. Then he got back to Russia on the last Saturday. No, it was 2 weeks ago. Started back in the gym on the Monday. I'd had 5 or 6 days training in Russia twice a day. Then he come back to me and we started again this Monday. So he's very fit. He's ready. He's getting good sparring. Everything's going well. And yeah, it's been frustrating for him. I was gutted when the fight fell through again, and very sad. But his mind's on it now. He's very frustrated, but he's angry and frustrated. He wants to take it out on Kelly.
I bet, mate. Obviously, you touched on his preparation there, mate. But of course, you know, he's back in the UK now with you, and he seemed to be enjoying your dance in the gym a few days ago. I saw on his Twitter, Carl.
Yeah, we try and have a bit of a laugh. I mean, I didn't even know he was videoing me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just turn around and he's videoing me like, but we have a bit of a laugh. I mean, most of the time it's just me and him in the gym. I do the odd group session now and again if the lads want to come in and join in with him. But yeah, most of the time, 90% of the time, it's just me and him one-on-one training. I do all his strength and conditioning as well. I do his running, programming. And we've got it off to a T. I mean, we're a good team. Obviously, there's Neil, his manager, Neil Marsh, myself, his trainer. We've got Matchroom promoting him now, and let's hope they get behind him if he beats Kelly and gets him another world title shot.
I mean, looking at the fight, Carl, obviously you've got full confidence in your man, and you know you were seeing that he's going to get the job done on the night. But I mean, how much do you think David's experience and obviously the level of opponents that he's fought already in his career is going to play out in this fight, mate?
I think on a pro level, I mean, David's head and shoulders above experience-wise and opponent-wise. I mean, amateur pedigree, Kelly's was a fantastic amateur, former Olympian, the rising star, the face of Matchroom, really, a good-looking kid, he's got a model contract and all that. He's got a lot of things going for him. He's a fantastic boxer. But professional amateur boxing is completely different. I mean, Kelly's doing well. I mean, he's not been beat, but he hasn't really been in with anyone at the level of David, apart from Ray Robinson, who was a good opponent, and he struggled with him big time that night. And I mean, David I think he's a better fighter than Ray Robinson, an all-round better fighter. So, yeah, I mean, experience-wise, we've got it all going for us. I mean, look at the fighters he's been in with. I mean, having Shane Mosley on your record. I mean, I know it was an old Shane Mosley, but it was still coming off 2 wins. It was still on a good run. But David beat him quite easy. Having Lamont Peterson on his record, Kowalowski, who went 9 rounds with Crawford. I mean, you know what I mean? And there's been plenty more fighters on his record. Kerman Ladraga, I mean, what was he? 24-0 when David beat him, 21 knockouts, something like that. Did a right number on him. So, yeah, we're confident. I mean, listen, it's going to be tricky. Kelly's a very, very good fighter. Not underestimating him. He's a good boxer. He's got a lot of skills. He's flash. He can make you look bad at times. But 12 rounds is a long time. Kelly's never done 12 rounds. He's had to dig deep over 10 rounds a couple of times. So yeah, I'm quietly confident. Well, very confident, but I know it won't be easy.
I mean, obviously, like you just said there, his experience is, well beyond, Kelly's experience. Is there anything else, though, you think, obviously, without giving the game plan away, Carl, is there anything else you feel that David has in his armour that's gonna make it a bit easy for him to beat Josh?
I just think hunger. I mean, you got to remember, David never had a lot as a kid. I mean, he's had to fight hard all his life to get where he's got. He's not had the big backing behind him until obviously Neil Marsh got hold of him, and then he come with me. I mean, he's been looked after, but he's had it tough. I mean, even obviously a few of them fights have been in the away corner, but it was an interesting one really, because I was looking through David's career one day and just sat looking at boxing, scrolling through. And do you know that he was the away fighter all his career in Russia? It was unbelievable to think. So basically, it was like the journeyman type fighter. But look at the record he's got, and that's what's got him to where he is. You know what I mean? He's a tough, hard man. He's been the away fighter all his career, and then he had a few home fights for Neil. Obviously, when Neil got hold of him, did a good job with him, and then obviously he had the fights in America and the fights away in Bilbao, and you know what I mean. I mean, he's the champion going into this fight, and he's the ass fighter in that sense. But obviously, Kelly's the matchroom boy who they're really behind, and even though Dave's got a contract with him, they're really behind Kelly, and they're going to want him to win. I know that. So we've got to put a stop to that. So it's an interesting one, really. But he's got that hunger. He's got that will to win. He needs it more than Kelly. He wants it more than Kelly. And that's what's going to be the main factor to me. When the fight gets hard and grueling, is Kelly really going to want it? That's the question mark. Is he really going to want it? Is he going to bite down on that gum shield like David and really want it? Because he's going to have to if he wants to beat David.
Assessing Josh as a fighter, we did touch upon it, Carl, but just assessing Josh as a fighter to this date in his career, what has impressed you most about Josh Kelly, or what do you see as his obvious strengths, mate?
He's a good boxer and he's elusive, and he can make you look bad at times. But when I've studied him, when I have quite a lot, to be honest, you got to imagine it's been 2 years on and off this fight. I've looked at a lot of his fights, even more so the recent ones. And he's not as accurate as what people think. When I've listened to the commentary, it's very, very one-sided commentary, because when he's punching away and that, he misses a lot. He's not as accurate as people think. And he takes a lot out of himself and he can't sustain it. And I think at welterweight he struggles and loses a lot of power and strength. And that's going to be his downfall in this fight, because I don't think he hits hard enough to keep David off. Like I said before, 12 rounds is a long time. But no, he's very good. He looks good at times. He's got all the skills, all the class, you know what I mean, elusive. But I just don't think he hits hard enough at welterweight to be able to keep David off.
Things have been a bit hostile, mate, between both camps in the build-up to this fight, mate. Previously, seemingly, stemming from the way the first fight was cancelled. Are things Are things still hostile now? Is it sort of cooled down a bit? Or is it you just basically not interested in anymore and just concentrating on the fight, mate?
Well, I mean, obviously, words got said at the press conference, obviously for the fight leading up to March last year. I mean, with Neil Marsh, David's manager, he really let rip on Adam Booth, spoke his mind. I mean, you've got to remember there's a lot of things going off behind the scenes that people don't know about. A lot of slidey things have happened. It's been very slippery, Adam has. I mean, doing that to us the day of the fight in 2018 was terrible. You know what I mean? It was terrible. You got to realise what we went through. You know what I mean? David, like you say, was away from Russia, training hard with me for 6-7 weeks, and then weighing in, and then the fight coming off on the day, pulling out. It was terrible. But yeah, I mean, I'm all right. I mean, listen, I'm just getting on with my job. I'm getting on with my job. I'm not happy about what's happened in the past. But listen, we've got to get on with it now. We've got to get this fight out of the way. But Neil said his piece. It went down a storm. Got a lot of reaction. Like I say, he said a lot of things it was all the truth as well, what he said. So hopefully he's got it out there and people will see what Adam Booth really is about. And it wasn't good what he did.
Were you surprised, mate, with the way how it went? I mean, you were hardly expecting, Adam Booth to behave the way. Did that surprise you?
Yeah, I think he knew. He didn't really have much to say in reaction because he knew that a lot of things that Neil was saying was right. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that was it, really. I mean, Neil said what he had to say. You know what I mean? All the facts and what happened from the pullout. And obviously, after the pullout, we was promised dates that never happened. And then the thing is, you got to realise that David's a champion and they're dictating what dates they want because of Kelly. You know what I mean? It's not good, really. I mean, we should have moved on from this fight a long time ago and put it to bed, but we just want to beat Kelly. We want to beat him and then move on.
Have Neil, yourself and David, looked ahead to the rest of 2021 and maybe plans further down the line, Carl, or is it just purely just focus on February the 20th and nothing beyond, mate?
Yeah, well, David's one of them fighters. He never looks past the opponent in front of him. So obviously he's looking at Kelly. He wants to get that fight out of the way, and then we can look at where we're going to go from there. But yeah, I mean, listen, David's been a world champion before. People forget that. I mean, he was the interim world champion, and then he was manager for Keith Thurman, and then Keith Thurman vacated and moved on. Did he fight? I think he fought Garcia. So David got upgraded to world champion, regular world champion. Then he fought Lamont Peterson as the champion, but got beat on points. So he's been a world champion, and we want to get back there. I mean, he's definitely good enough. He's filled into a proper welterweight now, because when he was fighting the likes of Kavalauskas and Peterson, it wasn't big enough for them boys. They were world-class fighters who was doing the weight and rehydrating and getting in the ring probably 18 pounds heavier than there was the day before. It was crazy, where David was only putting half a stone on. So the size difference on the night was ridiculous. But now he's filled into a proper welter. He's a strong, solid welter now. And this is what we're really hoping for when we get a world title fight, or at least a final eliminator.
Great, mate. Finally, Carl, before we let you enjoy the rest of your night, aside from being a trainer, you're also a promoter and a manager, as we know too. Can we quickly grab your thoughts on the worry for sort of small hall shows, amateur shows, and the future ahead, making these unprecedented times? Are there any ways of support being given in your opinion, mate? And if so, where do you think it's going to come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's heartbreaking for small hall boxing and amateur boxing. I mean, these poor amateurs, there's just no way forward for them at the moment. I mean, and obviously lads that are professionals have still got a chance to fight behind closed doors if they want to keep themselves right. But it'll always be an hard fight in the away corner against a top prospect. And like I've said before, I've got a lot of unbeaten fighters, probably 15, 20 unbeaten fighters that I want to build up and put through my way, like I've always done in the past. You know what I mean? Get them to championship level and into mandatory positions and challenging for titles my way. So I don't really want to be putting them lads out on these sort of shows. But if they want to box and they're in the gym and they're going to be pestering me for fights and that, then all I say to them is, look, if you want to take a job behind closed doors and it's the right opportunity, you can do it. I mean, I've got Brad Dawes. He's fighting on the 6th of February in Dubai, an MTK show. He's 6-0. He's fighting Mark McKeown, who's 3-0, another unbeaten prospect. So that's the sort of thing that's going to be happening now. But ideally, I don't want my fighters fighting behind closed doors on these shows. Not my prospects. I've got a lot of kids that will do that, are in the position that they can do that. They've probably been beat in the past. That just want to have a fight. But on the whole, I just want my fighters to wait. But the longer it goes on, like I said before, they're going to drift away. I mean, I was hoping September. Well, if it's September, that'll be 18 months since most of them had their last fight. I mean, some of them, that was if they was lucky enough to box in March 2020. So I'm just hoping that when things get back to normal, we won't lose that many fighters. But it's looking worrying, it really is, and it's very sad. I mean, the Olympics got cancelled. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with them. They've got the Europeans. There's a lot of good fighters in the amateurs, and they're struggling as well. So I don't know. There's nothing really else I can say. It's just tough. We just got to hang in there. But I've just been watching the news before I come on to you, and it's looking like we're going to be in lockdown until spring, probably April time, which isn't good.
Yeah, certainly very worrying times, as you said there, Carl. Carl, well, just finally, I just want to say on behalf of Southwest Boxing Media, we wish yourself, David, and the team all the very best with the rest of your preparation and obviously with the fight itself, mate.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you very much, lads.
Cheers, mate.
Keep up the good work, boys. All right.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Cheers, Carl.